The state of dating is grim. Regardless of gender, there is currently a general pessimism about the ability to find a suitable romantic partner. Single people often find themselves unable to meet partners organically, possibly because we spend less time in the quote-unquote real world than we used to, but dating apps aren't much better either, and might even be worse. Women are averse to them because of fears over their safety and dealing with inappropriate messages, while their gender imbalance means that many men barely get any matches. This can dampen the confidence of men already lacking in confidence, many of whom become resentful and even resign themselves to being self-described incels. They might even turn to gurus who promise them that any woman is attainable simply through the right combination of words. Women who are 9 or 10 out of 10s, subservient, and only have eyes for their man. Or even promise men the ability to get back their ex. With this comes validation from other men who see women as something to be conquered, achieving a sense of masculinity and self-worth. For men who feel they've been faced with endless rejection, even from women who they consider to be below their standards, this is an extremely attractive prospect. So there's a lot of money to be made, whether that's via ebooks, courses, mentoring, private groups, or even texting scripts. And this financial incentive has meant they've refined their marketing and sales strategies to an art. Social media plays a key role in this, specifically ads, such as on Instagram. Meta's advertising platform is extremely effective, giving advertisers all the tools they need to target their audience and hammer them with ads. But what if the solution being sold doesn't fix the core issues of the audience, and simply reaffirms their existing beliefs about the world, while pushing a very specific idea of self-development? Let's get into it. Many governments, NGOs, and news organizations have claimed that there is a global loneliness epidemic, and the statistics do seem to align with this. 2023 research conducted by Gallup and Meta found that nearly 1 in 4 adults feel very or fairly lonely, and 51% of respondents said they feel at least a bit lonely. People have also talked specifically about a male loneliness epidemic. The picture here is a bit more complicated, as overall, the survey showed exactly equal levels of loneliness among men and women. However, there were differences when looking at individual cultures and specific questions. For example, in the US, 21% of women said they felt only little or not at all connected, versus 23% of men, whereas only 12% of American men said they felt very or fairly lonely, compared to 18% of women. We can be sure though that loneliness generally manifests in different ways. A survey from CCAL, the Survey Center on American Life, found that men are 50% more likely to report having no close friends, increasing from 3% in 1990 to 15% in 2021, in contrast to the jump from 2% to 10% among women. Unsurprisingly, they also found that, for Americans with 3 or fewer closer friends, loneliness and isolation are fairly common experiences. More than half say they have felt that way at least once in the past 7 days. The difference may be why women are much more likely to rely on friends for emotional support. Young men, married or otherwise, are more likely to rely on parents for emotional support, potentially because they're more likely to live with them. Married men are also much more likely than married women to rely on their spouse for emotional support. 85% of married men, compared to 72% of married women, say they turn to their spouse when they have a personal problem. While men probably need more friends and those friends should be more emotionally supportive, men's lack of success in attracting a romantic partner is likely exacerbating this loneliness. And dating apps are ground zero for these romantic struggles. To take Tinder as an example, the disparity in the number of users is huge. While Tinder doesn't publish data for this themselves, various websites have consistently found a ratio of roughly 3 men for every 1 woman on the app. Women also get an average of 1 match out of every 2 likes, whereas men get an average of 1 out of 40. 52% of men receive less than 1 match per day, and 13% receive less than 1 match per week. In terms of anecdotal experiences on the apps, there's no shortage of posts on Reddit from men struggling with them. The experience can understandably be extremely dispiriting, with male users feeling like the odds are stacked against them, and even resenting the women who are seemingly spoiled for choice. Of course, this resentment often belies a lack of understanding of why fewer women are on dating apps in the first place, namely that they often have deeply unpleasant experiences on them. This struggle with romance isn't just limited to dating apps though, as men struggle to find potential romantic partners in the real world too. There are endless posts on Reddit in a similar vein, with men often finding that the women in their life are unavailable or not romantically interested in them, describing themselves as being in the friend zone. This leaves them with few options, one of which being approaching women they don't know, in public. This is what's referred to by pickup artists, or dating gurus for those that prefer that term, as the approach. For many men, this can be intimidating and awkward, and dating gurus are all too ready to pick up on frustration and desperation among men, young ones in particular. They know that these men are hungry for guidance. They feel lost in a world where everyone seems to be in a relationship or endlessly getting laid with new partners. They see attractive women out in the world and desperately want them, wishing they could seduce them with ease. In fact, the most successful gurus know their audience very well. It's what makes them so effective at pulling in customers. They'll even specifically call them out in their ads, such as introverts, who are less likely to put themselves in the social situations where they might meet romantic partners. Insecurities are generally a key part of gurus' marketing, with appearance often being a focus, whether that be their body, face, or the way they dress. These are perpetuated by the same gurus using them for targeting their audience, but they're also perpetuated by male influencers more broadly, and societally, male body insecurity simply isn't talked about enough. Some gurus emphasize the ability to attract women in spite of having non-conventionally attractive bodies, while other gurus will show their own transformations. Some gurus will talk down on men who wear flashy clothes to attract women, while others will use flashy clothes to demonstrate their own desirability. Proof of their own success is universally essential for dating gurus. This is most commonly done in the form of endless photos and videos of themselves with conventionally attractive women, ones they know their audience would see as desirable. They'll even tout how many successful approaches they've purportedly had, normally in the thousands. They'll often have videos of themselves approaching seemingly random women. The interactions shown are almost always successful and end with them getting the target's number or walking off together. Of course, there's a good chance that these videos are staged, as they often accuse each other of doing, but it ultimately doesn't matter if they're staged anyway. These are isolated interactions, presented without context. They'll also show success in much more material ways, such as high-end cars, clothes, houses, etc. A common theme in get-rich-quick type courses too, which often overlap in audiences. Many of these gurus also lend an air of credibility through their follower count, but many rarely have more than 0.1% of their followers liking their posts. Not that I'm saying they're buying followers. If the guru is one that emphasizes long-term romantic success, more so than casual encounters with women, then they'll show themselves in a successful relationship. But most importantly, gurus exude the confidence that their audience desperately wants, that they see as the barrier to their own success. Gurus frame this confidence as necessary to attract a specific type of quote-unquote high-quality woman, which they all refer to in the same ways. Appearance is obviously emphasized, with frequent reference to feminine, stunning, model-quality women. There's also a huge obsession with rating women, talking up their own ability to attract 9 or 10 out of 10s, and giving lower scores to the women their competitors are seen with. Some even very explicitly refer to desirable women as being submissive and practically subservient, not wanting or expecting anything of you, and doing favors for you with a bright smile on their face. They present a narrow, specific conception of desirable women that they clearly think will align with that of their audience. Many are also critical of Western women, and stereotype and fetishize women from other countries, with many of these gurus having moved to those countries. There is a clear intention to play into the resentment that much of their audience feels towards women, resentment that frames women themselves as the issue with their love lives. They'll often make reference to women cheating, or the threat of them talking to other men, with this assumed to lead to cheating. Again, this plays into their audience's insecurities. And, of course, there's a healthy dose of shaming involved, with frequent mention of women's body counts from men who are really far too old to be concerned with that. Women with high body counts are deemed undesirable, with the ideal woman being innocent and low exposure. Of course, a high body count for men is considered an achievement, and only increases their own value. This forms part of a representation of themselves as an ideal self, an aspirational image that appeals to their audience. They are well dressed, fit, articulate, and most importantly, confident. The problem that all dating gurus face is that they all sell similar products. Most of them have an ebook of some form, whether that be John Anthony's 7 Dating Secrets ebook, or Thomas Bain's Removing Layers, or Diego Manhago's Reconquest Map, especially useful if you've been blocked and still aren't getting the message. Most of them have a course of some form, such as Bobby Rio's Unlock the Scrambler training program, or John Anthony's Ultimate Openers course, or Michael Sartain's Vegas Immersion Live Bootcamp. Nearly all of them sell access to a private group of some form where they can share their dating tips and successes, and the most lucrative service, which all of them offer, is private mentoring, even charging $7,500 for unlimited private sessions. There's some exceptions to this, such as photo editing services and texting flowcharts, but there's a huge overlap, and they all employ the same high-pressure sales funnel tactics, such as 98% discounts, countdown timers, and artificial scarcity. This overlap in their offerings means it's crucial that they differentiate themselves. This problem is exacerbated by the fact that pickup artist advice is well established, hence why they avoid calling themselves pickup artists, despite using pickup artist language such as cold approaches, infield footage, and negging. For many, criticizing other gurus and their methods is a big part of their marketing. They'll insist that their methods are the only proven way to pick up women, and criticize the appearance of the women other gurus pose with, even going as far as accusing them of using using escorts. This messiness can result in them beefing on social media, which is a bit at odds with the serious masculine persona they portray. John Anthony, one guru who's been involved in various beefs over the years and advertises quite heavily on Instagram, believes that dating apps are the best way to find women. In fact, he believes this so strongly that he's apparently spent $250,000 on research for this. I'm not clear on the individual costs involved in this research, but I presume it was scientifically rigorous studies. John Anthony's backstory is that he worked as a top US military contractor where he had secret security clearance and was responsible for optimizing military defense systems. Naturally, he used this experience to develop an advanced dating strategy and determined that dating apps were the optimum medium for this, creating texting flowcharts and scripts for talking to women. These have apparently been tested and optimized with over 16,000 girls in hundreds of different situations across 25 countries, which has resulted in him sleeping with 1,720 girls. This kind of approach to dating is underpinned by the belief that a few magic words or series of responses can convince any woman to go on a date with you. This is appealing given the difficulty men face getting dates on these apps. John Anthony's program also frames the pursuit of women in sales terms, calling his program the Leads Machine, which you can find at sexleadsmachine.com, and talking about closing on women. In contrast, some dating gurus insist that cold approaches are the only way to go, where you approach women who don't know you with romantic intentions. Thomas Bain is one such guru who follows this method, describing himself as the cold approach savant with the only method to attract beautiful, feminine, and low-exposure girls this 2024. You can learn how he hacked the 9 out of 10 female acquisition matrix, a very normal way to describe interacting with women, in his 136-page book for the low price of $29, down from $49. He also describes himself as an aristocrat, a claim that he was thoroughly decimated on Twitter for. In his analysis of videos of other guys hitting on women, referred to in the community as infield footage, he expresses some very specific ideas about what's right and wrong. For example, he takes issue with getting women's attention by saying "excuse me," and says that you shouldn't make jokes because those are reserved for stand-up comedians. Like many other dating gurus, there's a lot of questionable body language analysis too, a practice that's become endemic even outside the dating guru space. You can't cross your arms, you must put them by your side and move them occasionally, and if the man in the video is successful, it's just because the girl isn't that hot anyway. A third category is those gurus who take a more holistic approach to the dating lives of their customers. One such example is Michael Sartain, a retired United States Army Special Forces soldier and founder of MOA, Men of Action Mentoring. And yes, he has a podcast. In just 7 days, he promises to show you how to meet signed models and attend the VIP-only events in your city, even if you're not rich or famous. His free one-pager Google Doc, the definitive guide on how to build a high-status social circle, aims to entice customers into products and services that will allegedly produce a full transformation of their lives, beyond just dating. Having read through the guide, a lot of the advice makes sense, such as including pictures of yourself with other people on your Instagram profile, and not using a brute force approach of going up to women until one will sleep with you. However, this free one-pager obviously keeps things surface level enough to be of limited use by itself, aiming to convince readers of Michael's expertise, or whoever actually wrote the guide, and bring them down the sales funnel. Michael's services are definitely on the higher end in terms of cost, with the pricing guide detailing services from $100 to $7,500, and costing $29,950 for the whole bundle. That's probably why they pursue you so aggressively if you give them your phone number or email address. Despite the differences between these dating gurus, they all effectively believe that all women can be controlled and just need the right sequence of prompts to be seduced. And despite seeking to distance themselves from the pickup artist title and reputation, they can't help but rely on classic pickup artist techniques. Psychological and emotional manipulation is often at the core of these dating gurus' books, courses, and mentoring, such as negging, which Thomas Bain describes as a powerful tool, or playing with her feelings in an unconscious way. But distinguishing themselves from one another is only half the battle to attract customers. Just like any other business, dating gurus resort to paid advertising to sell their wares. Meta ads, specifically Instagram, are a key marketing channel for them, especially as Meta makes it very simple to advertise on their apps. They wouldn't have brought in $132 billion of revenue from ads last year if they didn't. If you're unfamiliar, Meta ads work almost exclusively through audience targeting. Unlike Google ads, where you pay to show for a specific keyword, or display ads, where you pay to show on individual websites or collections of them. On Meta, you can target users based on controls like interest, location, age, gender, and other demographics. Meta decides what your interests are based on the pages you follow, as well as the content of the posts you make, and even the third-party websites you visit. As much control as Meta offers advertisers, much of this targeting can be automated, and often it performs better when it is. Their relatively new Advantage Plus audience setting gives Meta near full control after the advertiser provides some suggested interests as a starting point for the algorithm. Meta is able to use machine learning to refine exactly what categories of users are best for your ads and optimize accordingly. You might not follow pages about hair loss, but you'll still see ads for hair transplants because Meta correlates interests in certain topics with certain demographics. And if a user engages with an ad, that's considered a positive signal, with different types of engagement indicating different strengths. Meta doesn't release this information publicly, but it's safe to assume a comment or a follow is stronger than a like, for example. These positive signals encourage the algorithm to show more ads of a similar type, and this is for one reason only: to get results for the advertisers who pay for their ad space so they continue spending money on Meta, and that includes dating gurus. Dating gurus entice potential customers with claims of being able to attract any woman, regardless of whether you're a European slob or an entrepreneur who makes $30,000 a month. They'll even employ the tactic of green screening onto a Joe Rogan Experience background as a means of giving themselves fake credibility, which has become commonplace in many ads. They'll make claims around open rates on dating apps, or include unimpressed women reacting to Tinder messages. They'll even claim to be able to get your ex back using her neurological emotional triggers. Basically anything to get you to click that link and buy their product or provide your contact details, which Meta interprets as a conversion and a strong signal to show you more and more ads from dating gurus. Meta has some restrictions around who and what can be advertised, such as shocking, sensational, inflammatory, or violent content, but it's more than happy to take dating gurus' money. From their perspective, these dating gurus aren't doing anything wrong. If somebody wants to spend thousands of dollars on dating coaching, that's their choice. It's likely the case that Meta believes it can't be responsible for evaluating the content of every course advertised on their platform, such as the trading courses that are advertised endlessly. The nature of dating gurus' ads means they don't require specific approval the same way dating apps do. And while Meta has a policy against advertising on the basis of personal attributes, the characteristics called out in dating gurus' ads don't fall under this. The fundamental problem though is that these products are being targeted at men who are struggling psychologically, and they're specifically being targeted on the basis of attributes they're insecure about, and repeatedly being shown ads about them. Clicking through these ads takes them to an aggressive sales funnel where they're promised to be shown the secrets to dating any woman, and providing any contact details results in even more aggressive follow-up from sales representatives, where they're bombarded with emails, calls, and texts, as I was after providing a burner phone and email, and encouraged to buy courses that can cost thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars. I can't speak to how successful these courses actually are, as in whether they'll really help you get laid. Every dating guru has endless, enthusiastic testimonials on their sales pages that are impossible to verify. There are Reddit communities that live and breathe this stuff, and their opinions are generally mixed on the topic of these gurus and their courses. It's also difficult to tell which comments are shilling for certain gurus and which ones are real, although real experiences will generally acknowledge at least some negatives. Much of the sentiment seems to be that a lot of the advice shared by these gurus is common knowledge in the pickup artist community, such as hitting on enough women until you eventually have success, or straight psychological manipulation. But the core idea that you can get any woman to sleep with you is misogynistic, and this is a central part of the appeal of what these gurus sell. Much of the audience resents women as a whole for spurring their romantic advances, a failure that stings in the context of its perceived importance to masculinity, which presents women as a challenge to be conquered. They may have been legitimately mistreated by some women in the past, but many of them are unable to get past the idea that they're not entitled to any woman, and that women can have any preference about the man they're attracted to. They're driven by an intense mixture of desire and resentment that makes them a clear and valuable customer to dating gurus, who sell them a solution that doesn't really solve anything. The issue of male loneliness, and loneliness more broadly, is a complex one, and it's definitely not something that I have all the answers for, nor is it a topic that can be thoroughly covered in a video of this length. But, as I hope I've made clear, the interests of the people shilling these courses, books, mentoring, even texting flowcharts, aren't doing so out of a passion for sincerely helping men. Targeting insecurities in advertising isn't new, nor is it exclusive to dating gurus, but there's a blatant cynicism in these targeted ads. Just like ads for trading courses that promise to make you rich in a matter of weeks or months, the quick fixes offered by dating gurus don't fix anything. They're almost exclusively reliant on misogynistic tropes and appeal to their audience by validating their beliefs about women, especially through private groups that act as an echo chamber. Meta presents its apps as platforms to connect with people, and even reduce loneliness. That's probably why they partnered with Gallup on the loneliness survey I mentioned at the start of this video. And yet, when it comes to their cash cow, advertising, it's clear that they don't exercise the same care and attention when it comes to the people they're willing to take money from. Thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed this video. I know that loneliness and romantic difficulties can be a sensitive topic, so I hope anyone struggling with these doesn't feel like I minimize their experiences. I'd love to hear your thoughts though. How do you feel about dating gurus? Are they a problem, or not as bad as I'm making out? Drop a like and hit the subscribe button if you want to see more, or release a new video every couple of weeks. Till next time, see ya!